Former President Donald Trump is facing legal issues on multiple fronts, including lawsuits connected to the January 6 riots and, of course, that potential indictment in New York over the hush money payment to Stormy Daniels. Let's talk about it all with criminal defense attorney Joseph Tully, who's live with us here on Fox 5. Joseph, thanks for joining us again.
Thank you for having me.
There's been a lot of focus on this potential indictment out of New York City, and clearly not the only case that he's facing, but certainly the one that has come into the forefront the most. But right now, in spite of the fact that he had said he was going to be arrested on Tuesday, there have been no charges, there have been no indictments, and that grand jury will not meet until next week.
Correct, yes. So is this a case of jumping the gun, or is this a case of cat and mouse between the district attorney and Donald Trump? There's a lot of things up in the air. There's another kind of a surprise witness, if you will, Mr. Costello, who was the attorney for Mr. Cohen, who gave other information to the grand jury. So there's a whole lot to sort out here.
So we have this case. There is one also in Georgia involving the election. Find the 11,000 votes that I need. There's also proceedings here in Washington, D.C. And when you look at them, they are three uniquely different cases focusing on different aspects here. Clearly, as we look at the one out of New York, it seems to be the one with the most prurient, the most sordid interest based on the Stormy Daniels situation. But there are other ones down the road. Do we have any time frame on when we might see action on those fronts, whether or not there will be charges or indictments?
Well, I think for the more of the straightforward charges, there's always a statute of limitations. So we would know, depending on what charges that they're bringing, most, felonies have a generally across the United States have a statute of limitations of 5 years. Now, that does change for fraud because fraud by its nature isn't detectable right away. So it's the statute of limitations for fraud, as in the New York instance, will start counting once the fraud becomes discoverable.
There was also a piece out today, and we've seen this reported on many fronts here. The former president says he deserves immunity when it comes to some of the lawsuits related to January 6th here. Is that something that he as a former president would be privy to?
In looking at that and looking at the law, I think that is one of his more safer areas right now. I don't see, well, I do see that immunity will apply to him. And what we're talking about here is a speech that he gave on January 6th to masses of people.
And these
I
are,
think
by the way,
he will be immune.
These are civil cases here. Those are not criminal cases.
Correct, yes.
So as we move ahead here, and again, there was just so much attention paid to New York, and there are many people who support the former president who say because we've not seen action on that New York front from the Manhattan grand jury, that his chances here, and you mentioned that surprise witness, Mr. Costello, that his chances of an indictment are growing slimmer by the day because of that. Is it typical in grand jury proceedings where you have a 2 or 3 day break when it comes to these sort of situations?
It is very typical. So predicting a criminal case is sort of like predicting an earthquake. A month before it happens, it's really hard to tell. A few days before it happens, it's a little bit easier. Right when it happens, or a second before, it's very easy to predict. But other than that, it's very unpredictable. So here, I don't think that this break is a sign that charges are not coming. It could just as easily be that the DA is regrouping, getting all the facts, the good parts of their case together, and acknowledging the bad parts before moving forward.
And regardless of whether or not we have charges or indictments, it's always worth reminding everybody in the American court system you are innocent until proven guilty on that front. Joseph Tully, thanks for joining us tonight.
Thank you.